Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this HP, let's see, laptop model 17z-ak000. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is just disconnect or remove the battery. You just slide these two tabs in, and the battery actually pops out on its own. Battery model number here is JC03, so if you need a battery, it's right there. Alright, we're going to be removing all the screws. You want to keep all the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths. And if you mix them up, you can actually cause damage to the computer. Alright, so we got to remove these rubber feet. I just use my fingernail and then get in there and pull that out. You can use whatever works for you, plastic pry tools or whatever. Alright, if this video helps you out, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. And if it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Alright, so let's go ahead and continue peeling these things out. Alright, and let's go ahead and undo these screws. If you're just removing the CD drive or optical disc drive, you only need to remove this one screw here. But since I'm taking everything out, I'm going to be removing all the screws. Okay, so this laptop actually had a broken hinge. Actually, both sides were broken, but one side was worse than the other. I actually fixed it with JB Weld. I'll kind of open it up a little bit to show you kind of what it looks like inside. But yeah, also they had a broken antenna. I'm gonna see if I have an antenna lying around that I can maybe swap into its place, and maybe that'll work. Actually, I should check for that antenna real quick. Give me a second, I'm gonna look for one and I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. I found an antenna. Hopefully it's the right size because they do have different size connectors. I think this one will fit. And I'm gonna modify this laptop because the antenna goes into the screen. But in this case, I'm gonna put it in the base and see if it still works. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and continue removing all the screws. Alright. This screw to remove it, or the CD drive or optical disc drive, it helps to have a little pin, or if you can turn on the computer, you can actually open the CD drive first. But I just use a little folded out paper clip like that, and you can see we can eject that. There's a little hole in the side that you can do to get that. So what I do is I pull the CD tray out as far as it goes, then I'll grab the rails here, and then kind of wiggle as I pull, and there we go. Okay, and then we're going to close this back up. And we'll set this aside. There's no screws hidden under here, but you do need to remove it, excuse me, because there's this plastic here that if you try and rip it up, you'll end up damaging that. Alright, let's continue removing all these screws. So we got that one here. We got this long one here. Alright, and then we got another 3 screws down here. And I think that's all the bottom cover screws. Again, keep them all in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths. And these two are much longer than the rest, so if you mix them up, at least keep that in mind. I think the rest seem to be about the same, but it's always a good idea to put the same screws back where you got them. Okay, give me a second because I got a message, and back. Okay. Alright, I just checked. Alright, anyways, we're going to go ahead and carefully open the laptop. This is assuming your hinges are okay. Since I fixed the hinges on this, then we can open this. And yeah. Alright, next thing we're going to do, we're going to pop the bottom cover off. The way I do that is I get my fingernail in the little gap between the palm rest and the bottom cover, and then I'll push with my thumbs on the back and just pull like that, okay? So that's the easiest way to pop this open. I do have to be careful because I need to fix the hinges to the base as well. Alright, so we're going to pull on this just like that. Same thing, getting your fingernails in there and pushing on the back. Obviously you can use pry tools as well, but I find this works best. Alright, this clip, let's see, which way does this go? Okay. I can't really tell which way the clip's going. Okay, so the clips are curling over this way, so we have to kind of pull this outwards as we lift up, okay? Just like that, and here you can see it on clips. Okay, now that we got the 2 sides and the front off, a lot of times you can kind of just lift and wiggle, and the back will pop off just like that. And there's the inside. I actually cleaned a lot of the dust out already, so it's nice and clean. The fan is all nice and clean as well. All right, we're going to just go over the internal components. I'm not going to be popping everything out because the customer's main issue were those hinges, and I fixed it for the most part. So we're going to be putting it back together. Actually, let me double check what the customer said, and I'll be back. All right, I'm back. So here you can see inside the laptop, there's the wireless antenna here, and then you see there's all this stuff here. So if we wanted to put an internal wireless antenna, we'd have to find an empty place to put this kind of thing, and you kind of want it also sticking out towards the outside. Honestly, this spot right here where the hard drive is would probably work fine, and the only thing is we have all this excess wiring. Because this is from a different laptop, but I think this would work well, that I can actually put this in here. I could technically also put this inside the screen, yeah, we'll see. I think it might be safer to put it here because it had that hinge issue, and that way if it breaks, it's not going to have any problems. The only thing is, if your hand is here, maybe that might block the signal a little. Usually they like to put it towards the back. We'll see if I can fit it back in the screen. Alright, anyways, we got the battery removed. One thing to do after disconnecting the battery, you want to actually press and hold the power button for at least 15 seconds, so I'm pressing that right now, to drain any residual power and make it a lot safer to work on, especially since I'm going to be taking the whole screen assembly out of here. Okay, so we'll hold it for another 5 seconds, and then we should be good to go. Okay. There we go. Let's close this back up. Again, I fixed the hinge already, so you can see we can open and close it. We do need to add some JB Weld to this area and underneath here as well. So I'm going to be actually adding some more glue because it is breaking itself. And I don't want that to like end up coming out and then ripping the parts out here. Okay. So again, wireless antenna is broken. I'm just going to quickly go over the internals. Let me zoom in here and then kind of just show you guys close up. Wireless card right here. There's one screw. Once you remove that, it pops up slightly and you can pull it out. If you need to remove the antenna, we're going to have to remove this, but you go from the tail and just pull straight up. Okay, just like that. I'm probably going to take this antenna and chop it off because it is broken, and I'll show you that in a bit. So we're going to unroute that a little bit, and yeah, we'll take that out later. So there's the wireless card. Here's the keyboard connector. You can flip that latch and then you can pull it out. Optical disc drive or CD drive, DVD drive connector here. Flip that latch, you can pull that out. You can actually replace the CD drive, optical disc drive with another hard drive caddy, like a second hard drive bay. So if you wanted, you can do that and add another SATA hard drive. You got this connector going all the way over here to the USB and SD card slot, as well as the activity lights here. Okay, I will pull the hard drive out just so you can kind of see, but let's go ahead and go over the other components. You got a CR2032 BIOS CMOS battery, RTC, whatever you want to call it. You got this for the touchpad buttons, and the buttons you can see have this plastic thing that click it, and then the touchpad itself connects to the buttons there. You got the RAM here. It's an 8 gig. They covered it with this dumb sticker here. Let me see if I can peel it up and check. It's an 8 gig PC4 2666V. So if you want to upgrade your RAM, any PC4 2666V should work. You can pull these two tabs to the side. Oops, let me put this down. And let's see, there's stuff in the way. Let me zoom out a little. Okay, but basically you pull these two tabs to the side and then the stick of RAM pops up at an angle like that and you can pull it out. But I'm just going to leave it in there. There's a second slot here, so if you want to add another 8 gig stick, or you can buy two 16 gig sticks. I don't know if they have 32 gig sticks, but I know they have 16 gigs. Right, there's a speaker here. These kinds of connectors, I grab the wings and I kind of just wiggle as I pull it. I'm going to leave it connected again because the only issue they're having is with the hinges that I'm repairing. Then we got this the cable going across here to the other speaker. That's how you get both speakers connected. And then, as I said, I'm going to remove the hard drive. So let me actually flip this upside down because there's more work area here to show. But basically, flip this latch up. We can go ahead now and pull this cable out. And you can kind of move this out of the way. You don't have to take that one out. This has little rubber things that prevent the hard drive from coming out. Basically, you have to pull these two rubber things out. Okay, so grab that and pull those rubber things out. once you've done that, you can actually slide this back, but this rubber thing, as you can see, just stretches. So usually what I have to do is I use like a small screwdriver that fits in that hole. Okay, and I believe that's like a T9 or T8, whatever you want to use. Yeah, T9 actually works well. So I get that in there, and then I use that to pull. Be careful not to damage the speaker here. So I get that in there, and I pull. And you can see it's kind of sliding down. You can go ahead and do that on the other one as well. Grab it and slide it down, okay? And because the rubber is has been in there for a long time, it's actually like really hard to pull that out. But you can see it kind of pulled back, so now the connector is no longer in there, and then you can slowly slide it up, and there you go. So there's the hard drive. It's a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive. I would recommend putting a SATA SSD to speed it up. Like, you can speed up the computer quite a bit just by upgrading to an SSD. Anyways, we're gonna push this drive back down, and then we're gonna go ahead and push on the drive back here to slide it back into place, just like that. And then get these little rubber things and just shove them back down there to keep the hard drive from coming out. All right, we're gonna get this little cable back in. And yeah, this bracket or this rubber piece you do want to transfer over to the new drive. Oops, I didn't even pay attention if it had screws or anything. Let's go ahead and pull that back out. And usually after pulling it out once, it should be easier. You can also kind of go from up here and help pull the drive out if you don't have a screwdriver to do it, but it will be more difficult. There we go. Okay, and then let's go ahead and lift this back out. And there actually aren't any screws that hold this, so this thing just slots over like that. Okay, very simple. Sorry about going back to that after not showing it the first time. Oh, there are little rubber nibs that you do have to line up to go into the screw holes, so keep that in mind. Okay, we'll get that in. Lower that down, and then slide that back in, just like that. Get that back in and get this back in. Okay, then we're going to get this cable back in, line it up, and latch that down. All right, what else do we got? The CPU is soldered to the motherboard. Okay, this is the heat sink. It basically spreads the heat over a larger area, and the fan blows the heat away, basically by blowing cooler air through there. Okay, and then we have the LCD LVDS connector and the DC jack charge port connector here. This is a stupid design because they put this underneath the hinge, and this hinge is covered by the fan. So we are going to have to actually redo the thermal paste and everything here. Let's zoom out here. I actually took this part out earlier to work on it because I had to glue the hinges back, and that was a huge pain. I didn't record that process because it was like I had to hold the computer in all different weird angles, and I didn't want the camera making it more difficult on me. Alright, so anyways, we're going to remove all 4 screws, or not really remove them, but undo it until it clicks. And then you can go ahead and lift this and pull that out. And this is the heatsink. I did clean that as well, so it's nice and clean. Normally there's a lot of dust going to be trapped on there that you want to clean off. Alright, you have the fan. There's only 1 screw holding it in place. The connector is here, and I just use the wings and wiggle that with my fingernails. And it should eventually pop out. There we go. Then we can go ahead and remove this 1 screw down here for the fan, and then we can lift the fan out. Just like that. A very simple setup for the fan. Okay. Alright, so then underneath here, I believe this is the power button. So you have the power button, it connects right there. Be careful not to damage that, or you won't be able to turn your computer on or off. Alright. So we have this little white plastic thing here that guides the wires. I'm not sure why they put that, but they did. So we're going to have to get that out. So here's the LCD LVDS connector. We're going to peel up this, right? Once you peel that up, there's the latch here. We're going to flip that latch. Oh, actually, let me zoom in more here. Hopefully that's close enough. Okay, so we got the latch. We'll flip this latch up. And then once you flip that up, you can kind of pull up slightly and back, and you can unplug that cable. All right, so the the DC jack or charge port connector has the wings, and same thing, I just use my fingernails at the wings and wiggle it just like that. All right, then we got this we're gonna have to remove. Sorry, there's not much room here. Okay, so now we have this whole bracket here. This, I don't know why they have this little wire guide thing here, so we're gonna have to wiggle these cables and get them out from there. All right, a lot of broken plastic was kind of rolling around in here. So if you see any extra pieces or stuff that are in your computer that aren't in here, it might be because those broke off. All right, so anyways, once we unroute those, this white plastic piece does just come out. We can actually set that aside. And then here you can see there was a screw mount here, but that broke off and the screw came out with it. There's one more here, but I'm pretty sure that's probably close to breaking off as well. The only thing with using JB Weld here is if the DC jack charge port breaks, we're not going to be able to take that off. But JB Weld, you can cut it with a razor, and you can also heat it up. If you heat it up really hot, it becomes soft, and then you can go ahead and open this and it will just break the epoxy. So yeah, so don't be too afraid to use that. All right, we're going to be removing the hinge screws. Also, there used to be a hinge screw here, but then that one also broke, which is why we're going to have to use JB Weld to hold this thing back together, because the design was not strong enough. And yeah. All right, so now we're going to remove that screw as well. Okay, keep track of the screws. Again, there are a lot of them, and mixing them up can cause some issues, so I'm going to be very careful. All right, so we're going to the other side here now. And then there's one screw here and one screw over here. And then there were two screws down here, but again, the design wasn't good enough and it broke. So yeah. All right. Okay, so we got those two screws out. Again, normally you would have two more here. And we're going to unroute the wireless antenna from this. Okay, and we'll see if we can add another one. All right, so now we're going to have to carefully open up the laptop here. If I didn't already mention, if you remove the heatsink, you do need to redo the thermal paste. You can't just leave the old stuff there. Okay, we're going to carefully open up the laptop screen again. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my hands up here. And because I undid the screws, I'm going to hold on to the hinges here. And I'm going to push with my fingers down on the other part to kind of help open it up. Once it opens up quite a bit, you can actually drop this down. The hinges stay up, and you can actually go by hand. It helps to push where the hinge actually, this bar is. So you go from there and you kind of twist it up. Okay, hopefully I didn't damage any of the plastic stuff there. All right, and then same thing on this side. The hinge goes here, so we're going to lift up there. Okay, but normally you would open the laptop 90 degrees and then hang it over the edge of your desk, and then from there you can easily just lift the whole screen assembly out. So anyways, here's the screen assembly without the rest of the computer. Okay, let me actually move some stuff out of the way so I can hopefully get a better view. Okay, so here's the screen assembly here. All right, to remove this, what you do is you go from the center, either anywhere from the sides or the top, but you basically are twisting it like this. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and twist this and pop it out. We're gonna go over to this side. Okay, and we're gonna do this. Okay, and the sides and the top are easier to do. The bottom, it's easier to do after you pop all of this out. Also, if you're just changing the screen, the main thing is removing the battery and then pressing and holding the power button for at least 15 seconds. You can actually remove this whole front bezel without taking the whole screen assembly out. So keep that in mind, but it will be quite a bit more difficult. So you would pop this. Okay, you can see these clips are popping out as well. And then we're probably gonna have to like wiggle that just like this, wiggle that around, and there we go. This part gets a little bit in the way. Make sure you don't lose that magnet, otherwise when you close the laptop, the screen is not gonna go into sleep mode. Okay, we're gonna set that aside. All right, there's 4 screws holding the screen into place. Again, if you're just replacing the screen, you didn't have to remove this whole screen assembly. You can actually see where I put the JB Weld, and then I put some plastic wrap over it so it doesn't stick to the bezel. We had to glue this whole entire hinge piece here, and we had to also glue this hinge piece. These plastic things do come out, but I did JB Weld them in place so that they don't move all over. Okay, especially since we don't need to remove that. The only time you would need to ever remove this plastic is if for some reason you have to replace these cables. And the reason being is the cable goes underneath, but the other thing is it goes also underneath the hinge. So because we JB welded the hinge in place, if these cables break, we have to replace the whole screen assembly, or at least the back plate. We can actually take the LCD out and use that. Also, I did wrap tape over around the screen like this way and sideways along this bar, so that way the JB weld wouldn't go inside there or into here. And yeah, so this looks like it should be good. I'm gonna actually remove the plastic wrap stuff down here so that it doesn't go out and it's not visible. Okay, so we're gonna peel that up, and here you can see, because I put that plastic wrap, now you have a nice little thing here. Okay, and we can go ahead and remove the plastic wrap on all of it. You don't have to, but I'm just gonna remove it all. Okay, so we're gonna pull that one out, and you can actually see, good thing I put the bezel in, because the magnet fits into this little hole here, and if I didn't do that, then we would have no place for the magnet to go, and then when I go to put that bezel back on, it wouldn't fit. So that's why I put this plastic wrap stuff and then put the bezel and everything back together, so that way I can make sure it will fit for sure. Okay, at least otherwise once it sets, then you're gonna have an issue. Okay, so I think that's about it for that. Here you can see the old wireless antenna was up here, and then it goes around this way, and then it comes under this piece. Oops, sorry. It goes into this piece underneath and then back around here. So I don't think I can, yeah, I can't really wire the wireless antenna back in that way because of that. And I don't know if you can see the break in the antenna wire, but you can see the copper showing out there. So yeah. All right. I'm kind of curious if I can pull it through this way, but I can actually see the part where it's broken, so I'm just going to cut it there. Okay. We're going to get rid of that antenna wire. So this piece broke off, and you can see it had this just like clear piece, and then there's copper wire that was around the outside. And I think this antenna wire is the same, so I think we should be good. Now that we got that all removed, let's go ahead and reassemble this thing. So we're gonna go ahead and get, oops, sorry, the bezel back into place. So you just line up the bottom here. Oh, and if you're wondering, these plastic things, it has a little slot that goes in the back under here. So if you do happen to remove that, you do want to make sure to line it back up with that slot there, and then it should like stay solid when you go to like wiggle it. Anyways, we're gonna click all of this back down. Okay, some of the clips on this, when that hinge broke, got destroyed, so it doesn't really click into place. But yeah, all right, we're gonna go ahead and just continue clicking all of this back into place. Good, just like that. All right, and we should be good to go. Okay, so now that we got all of that, let me show you how you would normally have taken out or put in the laptop thing. So we have the hinges open about 90 degrees here. Okay, give me a second, I was getting some messages. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out a little more. You're probably gonna end up seeing my legs a little, but here we go. Let's grab this. All right. And normally you would have the laptop like this. You would hang that over the edge, and then you would drop this on top into place. Okay, and again, we are going to have to fix up the stuff here. Okay, so why isn't this going into place? Come on, go in. Okay, this side went in. Why is this side being a pain in the butt? Okay, there we go. All right, so we are going to need to add some JB Weld to these spots. So I'm going to actually mix up some JB Weld, and I'm going to need enough to fill like both these areas. So we're going to take the hinges out first, or the screen out first. I'm going to mix up some JB Weld, and then I'm going to actually put some into this spot, and then some into these two spots, and some into this third spot. And then we're gonna have to use some plastic wrap stuff again to cover it, so that way when we put it all back together, it's not gonna cause any issues. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna grab the stuff for the JB Weld. Okay, and we'll grab this. Okay, so we got that, and JB Weld is a two-parter. If you're gonna fix stuff like that, you do want the original black and white stuff. All right, you don't want to get the clear or whatever, the quick setting stuff, because that doesn't hold too well. All right, so we're gonna need, I don't know how much we'll need. Let's see. That's probably already plenty, so that's more than enough. Okay, so we'll probably get about that. Of course, every situation will vary, so just because you see how much I use, don't copy exactly. Take a look at how it's broken and how much you need to fill. And yeah, this might actually be a little bit too little, but we'll see. Okay. We're not doing a whole complete repair on this one since we already fixed the other side, so it shouldn't take too much JB Weld. Okay, like that. And we're gonna go on this side and similar, try and get a similar amount. It's a little bit tough to kind of judge how much you need, but do your best. All right. All right, there we go. Okay, and also looking at it, it makes it a little bit hard to tell. It looks like there's way more of the white stuff, but that's because the white one is spread lower like this. So yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and stir it all together. And it should be good. This is just about right. Maybe a tiny bit more black, but it should be okay. Alright. It's a little bit, tiny bit lighter than usual, but since these sides have screws that hold it, then it's not too crazy important, but this will actually hold really strong either way. Okay. Alright, so there we go. We got the JB Weld stuff ready. Go ahead and take this piece, and we're going to fill the areas that need the JB Weld. So here, okay, here. Make sure that it actually touches the bottom as well. Okay. The one I'm most worried about is this one. I don't know how I'm going to get that to kind of stay in the right spot, but we'll see. Okay. There as well. Okay, and then we'll kind of have to save a little bit to fill it from the top, but this side's most likely going to need a lot. Okay. All right, now we're going to rotate it back over this way, and then we're going to have to drop the thing back on top. Okay, let's zoom out again. All right, you can see all the junk on my desk. All right, let's go ahead now and get this piece back in. Normally you would have the antennas as well following that route, but again, I ripped those off. All right, we're gonna open the hinges a bit more so it's more than 90 degrees. Then we're gonna go ahead and line all of this up and get that into place. Good. All right, so you can kind of see how it is now. We are going to have to screw the things in, so let's go ahead and do that. Right, we have this one screw here. And then we have this screw here. Make sure you put the screw into the right spot. They actually have arrows pointing to it. I put it in the wrong one, so let me make sure I put it in the right one. Okay, they have arrows pointing to where the screws actually go. Okay, so to make sure you don't put the wrong ones in the wrong spot. This one. Okay, these ones are going to need a lot of JB Weld to help hold these because the 2 screws they have here aren't enough. So I'm going to peel back this adhesive. We technically don't need this tape anymore because we're not using that hinge or the antenna, but I'm going to leave it there because it was in there, so why not? Alright, so there we go. Now I'm going to carefully close the laptop back. I'm going to place the screen on the table, and then I'm going to use my thumbs pushing and twisting the hinge. So I'm going to rotate the whole thing like that. It helps to push where the hinge actually connects to the top. So you have this bar going here, so you actually want to push on this side. Okay, and oops, I might have gotten JB Weld on my hand. Okay, so here we have that empty spot. Let's actually zoom in here a little bit and see if I can show this a little better. Okay, although not everybody's gonna have it broken like this, so I don't know how helpful this is, and looks like I might have made too little JB Weld. Let's see, or it might be perfect. Okay, all right, so this one is broken here, so we're gonna fill the JB Weld in there, and there's also this attaching piece, so we're gonna fill that as well. Okay, and this is actually overflowing, or it's filling in underneath a lot, so I don't know if it's gonna stay filled out this way. Anyways, we got the one down here. Kind of want to make sure the JB Weld gets in and holds that in place. Okay, and then we have the 2 over here that are also, it looks like it flowed out enough that it should be good, but we'll add whatever's left here. There's not much left. Okay, and this will kind of hold it in place so it doesn't wiggle around or anything. Okay, there we go. That, and then we'll fill this as well. Okay, and we do need to cover this so that way if it overflows from like the CD drive being put in or the fan or whatever goes on top, it's not going to get onto the other components. Okay, that's very important. You don't want that sticking to other pieces because then you're going to have some issues later. All right, we're going to clean this up. Hopefully I was recording everything. I keep forgetting that I zoomed in so far and it's not showing the entire work area. And then I just continue working. All right, anyways, let's go ahead now and zoom out. And we're gonna have to put in the plastic wrap stuff, like I said. Actually have a roll of, this isn't actually like plastic cling wrap, but you can use plastic cling wrap like saran wrap. This is the stuff I use because people send packages, like parts that I buy, and they send it with this stuff, so I just use it. Alright, and we're basically gonna just cut some squares here out. And these are basically just, again, to cover the JB Weld, so when we put the rest together, it's not gonna stick onto those parts, it'll just go onto the plastic. And cut this guy up. Okay, same thing. And we have to be careful because the CD drive might actually stick to this when we go to install it. So let me show you. I'm gonna go to put this in. You can see the CD drive is kind of going on top of it. So I'm gonna actually put the CD drive in and then smash it down here. Okay, to get it to kind of fit properly. Then we can go ahead and take this back out. And you can see how it would smash all the epoxy out into that shape. All right. So when I go to install the CD drive, I have to be careful because I don't want it to catch on there and then drag it out. All right, so now we got these two pieces. All right, so this one. And this one shouldn't be as big of a problem because we're putting the fan and stuff on top of it. So, oops, dropped my screwdriver. All right, so we shouldn't have as big of an issue with the JB Weld going everywhere. Okay, so got this piece. We're just going to cover that up. Just like that. All right. Let's go ahead and continue putting this thing together. Again, I did get this wireless antenna from another laptop, so we're going to try and use that to help with the wireless signal. Okay, so first things first, we had that little white plastic bracket here that we're going to have to put back in. Okay, and this can be a little tricky. It has all these little clips, so this actually hooks in this way. Okay, and then drops in, so we got to make sure it hooks in properly. Come on, it's a little tricky. And also there's this little thing that goes down into this hole, so okay, there we go. And then we're going to get this cable in there like this. We're going to get this cable to go around as well. Hopefully you can actually see what's happening here. Okay, get this cable all the way in. Then get the LCD LVDS cable. And be careful, be gentle with these cables. You don't want to end up breaking them, trying to force them in. Okay, all right, and there we go. So that should hold that in place. And then we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna rotate. Actually, can I work on it this way? Because you guys need to see, so I don't know. Okay, let's actually go ahead and put the fan in first. So we have the fan here, and the fan is going to point this way. Okay, and I'm actually working on it upside down. There's a little hook that you need to slide this in and then drop that down. And then there's the little screw mount there. So we're gonna screw that in. What I do with the screwdriver, I was just using it. Put that guy away. Huh? What did I just do with my screwdriver? Am I blind? Give me a second, I'm gonna get the screwdriver and I'll be back. Alright, no wonder why I couldn't find it. I forgot I dropped it on the floor. Alright, anyways, let's go ahead now and screw that back in. Okay. And then when you get the fan connector in, make sure you don't flip it upside down. If you bought a new one, you want the exposed pins facing down, and then this will be up. You can actually tell because they put a white dot on that. We're going to pinch the connectors together just like this. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and get all these cables back in, route them back in, and then so that goes down there. Then this can plug in like this, line that up and pinch it in. Perfect. All right, then we got this cable, route that down there as well. Is it supposed to actually go over this way? Oops. Okay, so it routes in that way, and then it goes, all right, and then it goes out this way, and it's hard to work on it in this position because I can't see what I'm looking at. All right, so there we go. And then we're going to do the same thing with this cable, route it that way. There we go. Then we just line this up, okay, at an angle, pointing down, get that in, latch that on top, click that down, put the tape down, tape that down, and you got this tape. Okay, so there we go, we got all of that. We're gonna go ahead now and let's see how we can do the wireless antenna. So this laptop actually only has one wireless antenna spot. So we're gonna just plug this in here, and all right, I wanna line this up and click that down, hopefully. It doesn't have a satisfying click on this one, but there we go, it's in. Okay, so where should I put this antenna? The problem is there's all this metal over here, and you don't want the wireless antenna to be sitting on top of metal. So, we're probably gonna have to do the heatsink first. So let's go ahead and actually clean the thermal paste off of this. Okay, just get a paper towel, and we're gonna wipe that. And I'm most likely going to have to hold this over the trash can and then wipe it. Actually, most of it's coming out without leaving chunks. Oh, there's a chunk there. So I'm going to have to hold this over the trash can upside down so I can like clean that off. And then we're also going to scrape off this. So let me do that real quick and I'll be back. Alright, so I'm back. We got most of that out. We are going to use some isopropyl alcohol to clean it up a little bit better. Okay, so just fold up a piece of paper towel. We're gonna pour a little bit on there. Okay, so now it's a little bit wet, and then we're just gonna clean this piece. Try and get the remaining isopropyl alcohol off. I mean the remaining thermal paste off. Okay, and try that. And there you go, you can see the corrosion is on there. Okay, so this shouldn't actually take too much thermal paste. The CPU die is pretty small. Let me pull that junk away. Okay, so we're gonna zoom in. CPU die is pretty small here. So we're gonna use like a very small amount, about the size of a grain of rice, but actually even smaller. This one is that small. Okay, well, that's still somewhat like a grain of rice, but we're gonna resize it and shape it. So it's kind of like this hot doggy shape, or grain of rice shape, I guess. Okay, there we go. So we got that all filled up. Now we just got to get the heatsink back in. So also, when you screw the thing down, it does have numbers, so you screw it in the right order. We're gonna slide this underneath this plastic flap first. Okay, get that in. Make sure the screw mounts line up. Okay, and then we got the numbers on here. We got number 1 here. So what I do is I twist it backwards till you hear that click, and then go 1, 2, 3. Then we got number 2, click. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And we got number 3 here, click. One more time, click, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, click, 1, 2, 3, and then we'll go back, 1, 2, 3, back here, 1, 2, 3, back here, 1, 2, 3, last one, 1, 2, 3, and then we should be able to just tighten them all down. Okay. Alright, and then the thermal paste should spread completely flat. It actually spreads super thin, so it might look like there's not much, but that's a lot of thermal paste already. Okay, so there's a few places we can put the antenna. Let me see here. We're going to zoom out and let's see what we can do. So let's go ahead and line this up, get this junk out of the way. Okay, so let's see, where can we put this? I do need to verify where the screw mounts of this thing is, because there's a random hole here, but it looks like there's no screw that goes there. So some models, I guess they reuse the design here, because some models can use that And it looks like probably, I guess this is the best place. So we're gonna stick the antenna here. Okay, you can use whatever works for you. This antenna is just one I found from another laptop and it seems to work okay. So we're gonna wrap this copper thing here, and we can actually wrap it over the hard drive too if we want. Okay, just like this. And then we just have to find something to do with all this excess wire. Let's see, we can route it up here. Let's go ahead and pull this cable out. We can route it under here. Okay, keep in mind there's a clip right here. You don't want that to get cause any problems. Okay, if you want, you can route it underneath all these clips. You got the optical disk drive clip there, so we're gonna route that. Come on, get that cable back in, good. You also have the keyboard cable connector there if you really wanted to. We can like wrap this all under all these cables so it's kind of keeps them out of the way. Or you can just kind of like coil it all around multiple times, I guess. Like here, maybe I can just do that. So we're gonna pull this antenna out. Let's go ahead and wrap this under here. I'm going to do it this way so that way I don't have to keep pulling the thing out, the wires. So you can like coil it like that. Get that all out of the way. Okay, just like this. And then you can go ahead and put that back in. So if you want, you can coil it a whole bunch of times or whatever you want. You can do it like this and coil it all around. Whatever you feel suits you. But this has like a lot of wire, so we're gonna coil it around a few times here. Okay, get that back under there. You can see it's trying to go into this little clip, so you want to be careful with that. Okay, now I'm just going to wrap it back over and click this into place. Okay, and hopefully this antenna is going to work okay. So we wrapped it all around like that, and let's go ahead now and put the thing back together. We got everything else in place. We're going to get this lined up. We're going to start with the back here because that's what we did last time, and then we can close it down. Click everything into place, click all these in. All right, perfect. And hopefully that antenna is gonna do a good job there. So we got this. I'm gonna be lifting it up slightly as I slide this in, so that way it's not pulling on the JB Weld. Okay, at least that's the idea. Let's take a look. Yep, okay, it came out clean, so we should be good with that. Okay, sliding it in and push that all the way. And there we go. Now we just got to get all these screws in and then the battery, and we should be good. Why did I put the screwdriver bit away? All right, let's get all these screws back in, and then we're going to power it up and make sure it detects the wireless okay. And yeah, other than that, that's all there is to it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. Again, if it did, please make sure to like, comment, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. Subscribe, and if it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. If you can't help out that way, it would be greatly appreciated if you can watch a few of my other videos, because that's what the YouTube algorithm likes to see. And then also if you can like those videos and comment on them, because yeah, that helps a lot. All right, so let's just get all the rest of these screws and the rubber feet and everything back together and in, power it up, and see what we got. Okay. All right, we got 3 more screws, 4 rubber feet, and then don't forget the battery, of course. Okay. I don't think did I point out the CMOS BIOS battery? I don't know if I did. Yeah. There was the CMOS BIOS battery there as well. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this back in. Push that back down. Get this back in. Push that back down. Get this back in. Get that back down. Push this back in. Get this back down. Alright, and then the battery, just line it up. And this slides in just like that. Make sure after you're done to lock this one back in, and then you should be good. All right, let's flip this over, power it up, and see what we got. Hopefully it doesn't need to be plugged in. Okay, it is turning on. Here the CD drive spooling up. Nothing's on the screen yet. I hope I don't have to clean the stick of RAM. Nothing's coming up. If it stays black, it might be the stick of RAM got some dust on it or something, and I might have to take it back out and then clean it up. But for now, the screen is just staying black, so I think I'm gonna have to pop it out and check that stick of RAM. I hear the hard drive. Did I forget to plug in the LCD LVDS connector? I don't think I did. Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna plug this into an external monitor because it does seem to be starting up, and then I'm gonna shut it down. We're gonna open it up and double check what's going on. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, so I verified it works on an external monitor, so we're gonna wait for it to shut down, and then we're gonna double check. Okay, I think it's off now. Let's go ahead and pop this thing back apart. Okay. Oh, I guess it's not completely shut down. Why is there still power? How is it not shut down yet? Okay, now I think it's shut down. Yeah, okay. Now let's go ahead and open this thing back up and double check. I think it might be the LCD LVDS connector I didn't plug back in or something. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, I'm gonna pull this back out. Oops, I forgot I have to take all the screws back out. My bad. I was like, why isn't it coming out? Okay, grab that, wiggle. Come on. There we go. Oops, I got a little JB Weld on there, so I guess it's a good thing I opened this. All right. Let's go ahead and get all these rubber pieces out. Sorry for having to redo this. I mean, you get the idea. You're welcome to just stop watching now. You don't need to see me open it up a second time, but this time I'm going to open it up probably quicker than the first time because I'm not really instructing anything now. I'm just completely taking everything out. So you can kind of see the speed difference if I'm not really explaining anything. Okay. What else? This long screws. That's 3. This CD drive aside. Okay. Let's go ahead and pop this thing back off. Sorry, I know I'm doing it out of camera, but you already saw it, so I don't need to see it again. The LCD LVDS connector is plugged in. What happened? Uh-oh. I hope it's not fried. Let's go ahead and open this. We're going to press and hold the power button again. Pretty sure I held the power button to drain it when I put it back together, so I I hope the cable didn't get damaged in all that movement. Let's peel this back up. Double check this connection. It looks fine. I hope it's not going to have some issues here. Let's get that cable back in. Okay, latch that back down. Make sure it's all the way down. What is going on here? Oh, and one thing, in some rare instances, I don't know if Windows detects that the screen was disconnected when you turn it when it's on, you might have to connect an external monitor and then restart the computer one time. This monitor better work, because if it doesn't, that Hinge repair was for nothing, and I don't know, that's gonna suck. I might have to buy them a new Hinge, or not a new Hinge, but a new screen assembly. So let's go ahead and get this all in. I didn't really do anything else to the screen, and it was working yesterday after just the other part was repaired, so I don't think the new epoxy should affect it at all. This is strange. Okay. I hope it's not the cable's damaged, because again, it's trapped underneath the hinge that we JB welded into place now. So let's see. If it still doesn't turn on, I'm going to try restarting the computer one time with an external monitor, and then we'll see if that changes anything, because it does work with an external monitor right now. But then if it's no longer a laptop, then that's going to suck. So that better not be the case. Okay. Last one. Alright, get the battery back in, lock it back into place, and let's power it up again and see if we're lucky or if it's completely dead. Oh no, the screen is not coming on. I don't know what's going on. Nothing was really changed from the last time. Alright, I'm going to plug this into an external monitor and restart the computer. If it doesn't work, I guess something got fried in the screen. But that's pretty much all there is to it. Again, I'm going to plug in an external monitor and then do a restart. Let me actually do that real quick, see if anything changes, and I'll be back. Yep, so it looks like it's still dead. I guess I'll take it apart and see if it can be repaired. Otherwise, it's going to be considered the screen is dead. Wireless works now, but I don't know what happened with the screen. So I'm going to take a look. It works with an external monitor. I don't know, the cabling looked fine, so maybe pulling the cable out and putting it back, something happened. But yeah, that's it for now. Hopefully this video helped. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Let's drop this. Bye. Alright, so I'm an idiot. I'm 99.999% sure. I think I just left the screen disconnected on the back when I was doing the hinge repair. I disconnected it because I didn't want to accidentally pull on it. So let's go ahead and pop the screen back out. I didn't show that in the video, but I guess now I am going to. So this screen actually isn't too difficult to replace if you ever have to replace the LCD on here, mainly because the battery is removable. So because the battery is removable, and this bezel is also removable, oops, give me a second. Okay, and also because the bezel is removable, that makes this way easier to pop out and work on. So we're gonna pop the bezel out. You can see I make it look easy, but you do have to kind of a little bit know what you're pulling on and what you're doing. Okay, so this is what happened. We got these 4 screws here. hopefully I can pop that out because a little bit of the JB Weld went over further than I was expecting. All right, but since the screen is just held in with these 4 screws, I actually really like this old design. I don't know why they had to get rid of it so they can make the bezels tiny. But we're going to go ahead and lift this up, and we should be able to crack that little bit of JB Weld that's there, I hope. And then hopefully we can remove this screen here, because that, I think, is what's actually the issue. I'm pretty sure I forgot to... Come on, this shouldn't be attached here. I'm going to see if my little tape thing worked so I can peel this up and get the JB Weld out. Okay, we'll peel this off and pull that away. Alright, I'm gonna have to peel this side up as well. And hopefully it didn't glue underneath the thing. Okay. Sorry, this is not meant to be this difficult. Okay, so we'll peel the tape thingies away, and then hopefully we can actually lift this screen out and I guess pull it away. There we go. Okay, so here's the screen. We can take this tape out because it's no longer doing anything. And yeah, you see that? The adhesive's holding it, but I forgot to reconnect this cable. Dumb me. Okay. So we'll get that, we'll put this in, and we'll reconnect this cable, and then we should be good. Also, because I did hold the power button, but make sure hold the power button 15 seconds after disconnecting this battery before unplugging or plugging in this cable. That's very, very important, okay? All right, we should be good there. Let's go ahead now and stick this back in. I was wondering, I was like, what is wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. Okay. I'm gonna pull this in. Okay, that really scared me there. And now we got that. We're gonna flip the screen back up into place. Okay, hopefully it will go in properly. Let's actually flip it this way. And we'll drop this into place. Alright, and I might have to slide that in because I accidentally put more JB Weld here than necessary. So let's go ahead and go that way and then slide it over. There we go. And then, oh, this metal piece is sticking up. That's what's happening. Okay, because that part of the hinge broke, it's like pushing out that way. So I need to actually get that. There we go. Okay, now it's set in right. Let's get all these screws back in, and we will put the battery back in, and we should be good to go. All right. I can't believe I forgot that, and I can't believe it took me like taking the bottom cover off like 3-4 times to remember that I left that like that. I know I said that several times. That. Okay. Anyways, there we go. Bezel. Let's grab that. Get that back in. And slide that back down. Put that back down. Click, 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 click. I mean, you already saw this part, so you don't need to see it again. You get the idea. But you can see how fast you can do this when you know what you're doing. Okay, now let's put the battery back in and power this thing up, and we should be good to go. Okay, slide that to lock it in place. Flip this over and make sure that's all clipped in. Okay. All right, and let's power it up. And yeah, the screen just flickered. It's flickering, it's turning on, and there we go. Can't believe I was so dumb. All right.